In this video, I'm going to teach you the final model in place command that I use most frequently, which is called extrude. And we're going to start off the same way by selecting a reference plane because we've learned that Revit likes to do that at the beginning. So I'm going to set it here. And I want to actually set it to this back wall. If I can grab it there. If not, I can grab it right here. But I want the very front of it. Let me make sure that I grab it. If you hit this button over here that says show, it'll show where your reference plane is. Okay, so Revit knows where it is, so hopefully it'll let me move forward with my extrude command. What I'm going to do is, again, go to Architecture Component and Model in Place. This is going to also be casework because it's going to be part of the cornice. But this one we're going to call the corbels. So see, it wants me to set it again. Where we're going to find this is extrusion over here. So let's go ahead and hit the extrusion button. Now, in order to set my extrusion, it's basically going to start on a plane and push forward or backward. And if you've ever used SketchUp, it's similar to the push-pull command in SketchUp, except that you have to associate it with this reference plane. So I'm going to go back again to my south elevation. And I'm going to create a corbel right here. Now, the corbel is sitting on the front of the building here, and it's kind of messy with this AutoCAD file. This AutoCAD file is not exactly aligned properly, so there's going to be a couple places where it's just not going to work properly, so we're going to have to make some changes. But right now, we're going to start by using the side profile right here as a guide for our extrusion, and then we'll mirror the extrusion across this top sweep that we did and place the remaining corbels over here. So let's go ahead and start with this profile. I can pick a couple lines here. That one's going to be too long, so we shorten it. Okay, so this is the closed loop that we're going to extrude. And you can see here, it's asking over here the extrusion start and end point. Now, the start point is the reference plane. And the end point, if it comes towards us, would be 8 inches because I can measure this and find out that the depth of these corbels are 8 inches deep, or pardon me, 8 inches wide. So the extrusion point here will be 8 inches, and it will actually be pushing backwards, so it's going to be negative. Now, it looks like my dimensions have kind of confused Revit a little bit, so I'm going to just hit the green checkbox because it's very easy to change the extrusion after the fact. So I'll hit that checkbox, and you can see the extrusion end is at 1 foot, and ours is actually going to be 8 inches. Now, I'm going to put -8 inches so that you can see what happens. And I'll hit apply and then the green checkbox. And it looks like I've been getting this message a couple times when I've been practicing it. So I'm going to pause it one more time and just see what's going on. Okay, so it turned out that I think what was happening was the profile was not really Revit was not really liking that real pointy end here. And then for some reason, the reference plane of the front of this building is giving Revit a little bit of grief. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and rework that command. Once again, we'll do casework and we'll call it corbels. And I'm going to set up the reference plane to be this front here, because it's close to the face, but it's not on the face of that wall. So that should go a little bit easier. And then for that real pointy edge, I'm going to skip that and then bring it out forward just a little bit. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, that worked a little bit better. So we're going to just take a quick look at that corbel over here. You can see it, and it's extruding forward 8 inches because I didn't do the negative when I extruded it the second time. So what I'm going to do is just go to that west elevation. You can see the corbels right there, and I'm going to use my arrows to move it if it will let me. It may not let me. So I'm going to do it like this and stretch it this way. And let me make sure that it is 8 inches wide. Usually you can overwrite the dimensions, but it's misbehaving for me just a little bit. Okay, let's go ahead now, and I'm going to move to the level 4, pardon me, the level 4 design plan. And you'll see why in a second. I'm going to go ahead and move to the wireframe view so I can see my corbel right there. And I still really want to make this 8 inches. Let's take a look one more time. I really want that to overwrite for me, but it's not working. All right, well, I'm just going to leave it at that for now. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to copy these corbels kind of equidistant across over here, and then I also need to bring them around the front of this building as well. So I'm going to start by mirroring this. Now we'll see if it lets me do it without fixing the constraints. Oh, perfect, there it is. Okay, so what we'll do first is I'm going to go back to that south view, and you can see there's my corbel right there. And this one will let me align it. Perfect. Okay. Now I've got my 8-inch one. Perfect. Okay. So now what I can do is take this and copy it here, here, and here. I'm going to unconstrain it, and that'll allow me to move it a little bit I can move it across this elevation really easily, but that constraint will allow us to move these in other places if we need to. We've got another one here. I'm going to go back to that level 4 view, and I'm going to delete that one because it's the bigger one. Mirror this again. Okay. There's also one over here that needs to be mirrored. Okay. And now we don't have a side elevation in CAD for this, so I get to figure out where those corbels are going to be. Now, if I measure the front, I can see that they are 15.5 inches apart. And then there's a little bit bigger gap in the middle. But I'm going to go ahead and measure that gap as well. So 15.5 and 2 feet 7. I'm going to write that down. Okay. And then let's go ahead and go back to that west elevation. And then let's copy these over. So I'm going to copy this one. So I'm trying to get it to 15.5 inches. Perfect. All right, and then we'll mirror these over to the side. It looks like we need another one over here. There we go. Okay, and we still have some space in the middle. We could put another pair in the center. So I'm going to create a detail line in between these two, and you'll see the purpose of that in a minute. Okay. And let's go ahead and let's leave it at that. Let's go back to that level 4 plan. And let's copy these to the other side. Now, as far as where the midpoint of this thing is going to be, let's take a look. We can just move these over. One's going to be overlapping. Okay, So now you know how to use a reference plane to create a series of extrusions. Now, keep in mind that extrusions, you may have the tendency to want to, for example, I said create a series of extrusions to create this. And keep in mind that something like this column, that's actually one, two, three, and then four separate extrusions, because the extrusions are all individualized based on the height. So you would have to set, like, if this is an extrusion at 3 inches and this is an extrusion at 24 inches, you can't do both of those extrusions at the same time. So just keep in mind, the extrusions are intended to be very, very simple geometry. And again, this is all just kind of mass. It doesn't have any architectural meaning. If I slice through it, it would still be just mass. But when you look at the elevations, it actually adds a really beautiful architectural character as well. Looks great.